everybody, welcome to another video. This one's a Yamaha fuel tank in deep purplish blue, which is Yamaha Y3973, using the DV1 base gun. Now this video is actually quite old. I did the actual video, shot the video about a year and 3 months ago, something like that. It was last autumn, and by that I mean autumn of 2020. Temperature was 9 degrees centigrade, so it's quite chilly, so I'm using a heater and a heat gun throughout some of the stages. This was actually for someone. This is a chap I know who does some bikes up, and he wanted me to do a few tanks for him, so this is one of a few that I did for him. Of various bikes. This one's actually an FJR in, as I say, deep purplish blue. And what it actually did, I did a rear rack for one as well, in exactly the same colour. And I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. But it actually led to quite a lot of detailed discussion from people that, you know, do this Yamaha purplish blue for a living, and they were saying that there's no way that you can create the normal colour in a single stage or a two stage. People say two stage. It's base and clear. You know, base being one stage, clear coat being the second stage. So this is a two stage, and they were saying it's a three stage. So you need like a ground coat, then a top coat, and then the clear. And that got me thinking, because the paint supplier I ordered it from, I just ordered the paint from the chap, and I got this single stage, but it's a solvent base coat. So that got me thinking as to, you know, whether this was right or not, because one of the chaps said there's no way that it will match the existing paintwork, but it matched perfectly the existing paintwork in sunlight, in shade, whichever way you chose to look at it. It was absolutely fine. I mean, it's obviously a tank is a panel on its own, so although you've got a fairing in this particular case, you've got a fairing around it, it's not touching it, so it's not directly next to it to compare it, but it looked absolutely fine. I have got a video of clear coating it, but I actually used an AZ4, so we put decals on it and cleared it with the AZ4, which I will do in another video. But I just wanted to get this one out there, as I say, because it's been hanging around for ages. But this deep purplish blue, I looked into it, and it would appear, various paint suppliers I rung up and asked, and there's a few different bits of software for Capsy and a few other manufacturers you can download, and when I looked into it, it would appear that if it's a solvent base coat, most of them seem to just recommend a single stage, you know, just one stage of base. If it's a water base, it seems to be a two stage. So I don't know whether that's the difference. You know, the other guys are using water base, and I'm using solvent base, which we're allowed to do in the UK. You're allowed to use solvent for motorcycle stuff, so it's not, you know, you don't have to use water base. I'm used to using solvent, so I tend to use that more. So I'm just wondering whether that is the reason, because as I say, I'd rung up a few different paint suppliers, and if it was solvent, they were telling me it was a single stage, but if it was water based, they were telling me it's a two stage. You know, I can only go by what I'm told or given, really. I'm not a paint expert as such. But anyway, just a bit of background to that. So DV1S. Another thing that's cropped up actually while I'm nattering is a few people saying about my spraying style. Only three I think. One chap was quite critical. He just said your spraying style is horrible, and that's it. I can't even remember what video it was on now, but I did question him, but he hasn't actually come back. I've left the comment up there because I don't like reading comments really, unless it's something really bad, I don't bother. I'm not worried about personal attacks, to be honest, because I'm quite happy with what I'm doing. But anyway, that's what he said. My spraying style is horrible, which is not very creative at all, is it? It's not gonna help me know what he means. But another chap recently said he was watching one of my videos, and he said my style was, I could save a lot of paint and do it a lot better if I changed my style, you see. And I have actually modified my style anyway, and that's another reason for getting this video out after like a year and well, nearly a year and a half, but it's a year and a quarter at least. I have modified my style slightly, and that's then I do take, you notice here, I take a lot of short strokes. Well, I've lengthened that out now. I've got more used to, you know, doing it in a more continuous flow, if that makes sense. So old videos like this, it looks a bit more bitty, for want of a better word, but the newer videos, it does flow more, which you'll probably pick up. Some of the videos that you see are newer ones that are already up on YouTube, and if you have a look, my style does vary slightly. I have changed it, and I suppose we all evolve as we go along, don't we? But I just thought it was interesting that people criticise your style, because for me the style doesn't really matter, it's the finish that matters. And although I say it myself, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, considering the conditions I have, I actually think I get a very, very good finish. I mean, you guys see the finish at the end, it's always a 4K, or these days, this is only a 4K video at the end, but these days it's actually 8K at the end, so that you can see the any imperfections or whatever. And you know, I just don't get them. I'm really, really good. I hardly get any runs and clears these days, etc. Yeah, so I just thought I'd say that really, because it's quite funny the way different people perceive things. So, quick bit about the DV1. This was about the second time I've used it, although, as I say, it's ages ago. I'm narrating this just before it goes up on YouTube, so I've got plenty of use out of it now, so I can speak with sort of like a reasonable knowledge of using it. And it's a really, really good bass gun, one of my favourite bass guns. The only negative thing two negative things really. The price, they're very expensive compared to the GTI Pro Lite. And it uses a hell of a lot of air compared to the GTI Pro Lite with the TE10, which is the normal setup I would use for bass. 1.2 TE10 is my preferred setup for bass with the GTI Pro Lite, and this uses, well, according to the DeVilbiss figures, this uses around about, I think it's supposed to be 20% more air, but in real terms it's about 50% more air. It's a lot more air. So if you're the guy at home, you can get, in my opinion, you can get virtually the same finish for a lot less money and using a lot less air. So I wouldn't recommend this gun if you were on a limited budget with limited air. If budget is no problem and air is no problem, then yeah, I would say it's you know, slightly above the GTI Pro Lite. But all things considered, I think I would still have the GTI Pro Lite, you know, if you're worried about anything other than pure finish, simply because the GTI Pro Lite, as I say, is much cheaper and uses a hell of a lot less air, which is quite important to people at home. But otherwise, a really, really good gun. Been, you know, really reliable, which you would expect really. I mean, I've got a hell of a lot of guns, and although I'm spraying quite a lot these days, you know, I have such a choice of guns that I don't sort of use them loads, I suppose, and you get your own sort of like little favourites that you muck around with. So with seeing about to see the higher quality video at the end, and I think you can see that the finish is superb. It's waiting for clear coat, well, waiting for decals, then clear coat, but you know, it's a superb gun to use. Feels really, really nice. Whether it is, you know, if somebody took it away from me and said you can only use the GTI Pro Lite TE10, I wouldn't cry really. you know, I would just get on with it, because it performs really, really well, the GTI. But there's certainly a place for this anyway if you've got the money. All right, guys, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye bye.